Assalamu alaikum and very good afternoon, everybody. It's kind of interesting listening to Dr. Surin live, and picking up all those wisdoms. But again, I was invited by Pak Khalid last night. I don't know for whatever reason, sitting on this stage with everybody else, but he asked me to represent the liberal point of view, which I'm not. I'm still an Islamist. I believe that I subscribe to that small d and not yet to that capital D, because capital D here is the Democrat Action Party, DAP. I'm not yet a member of DAP. Okay, so and it's quite interesting listening to what you have presented, especially on your question that you imposed to Khatimi. Should Khatimi was a Poperian, he would answer in a very different answer, talking about open society, do we contribute towards creation of good people or good community, whatever. And he was very anti-Aristotle. Okay, but you did mention about the Ummah, the situation of Muslim countries. One would directly trying to quote Iqbal in his Shikwa and Jawabu Shikwa. His poem, his magnanimous poem talking about the situation of Ummah, and he was complaining to God of that situation. And the answer, the reply that he received from the conservative, they excommunicated him. Takfir, kata Iqbal sudah kafir, kan? But it's very interesting when he came out with his Jawabu Shikwa, reply to the complaints. That's the greatest thing that I think any Muslims, not only Muslim Democrats with small d or with capital D, that we should revisit it. Where he was trying to say that don't blame God for the condition of Muslims nowadays. You have to look at the mirror and blame yourself. He was trying to say that, okay, Moses was sent to Pharaohs, Abram was sent to Nimrod to fight all the tyrants, and Prophet Muhammad was sent to Abu Lahab, Abu Jahl. But now, you look at the situation of Muslim countries and Muslim nations, you have your own Pharaohs, you have your own Nimrods, and you have your own Abu Jahl, Abu Lahab. Okay. So, coming to that, it's very unfortunate if you look at the situation of Muslims, especially Muslim youth nowadays, we are only left with two options. Number one, you maintain the status quo that most of Muslim countries, maybe apart from Indonesia, yeah, and Malaysia, maybe, I don't know. It's not correct to address this kind of audience with that. But anyway, most of Muslim countries, especially in the Middle East, they're being ruled by tyrants, by dictators, by regimes, by monarchs that never believe in democracy. But they are building their allies and darlings of the so-called democratic power of the West. Saudi Arabia, definitely there's no democracy in Saudi Arabia. Even women are not allowed to drive their car. What more to be, minister or whatever. But again, they are the darling of the United States. You look, the recent coup that happened in Egypt, it's very undemocratic. But again, US recognized them, and you could see a couple of days ago, even EU repertoire came to officiate the Suez Canal, ceremony or whatever. They recognized them. So that's the very first option. You have to acknowledge that there's no room for Muslim Democrats in Muslim countries. You have to acknowledge the status quo, live with the status quo. Or else, you have another choice. I've told Pak Khalid just now that I will try to bring something different. The second choice you have is to join Abu Bakr Baghdadi and the Islamic States. The radical groups from all spectrums. Because for them, democracy failed in Muslim countries. Democracy has always been a lip service for the dictators and the regimes, and those regimes are being darlings of the so-called democratic power. So the only way to survive, the only way to bring down those dictators, by raising arms and using force, jihad. There's the only two choices. Yes, we can talk about all these, beautiful things from Quran, for whatever, but for normal Muslims, looking at the situation, deprivation of Muslims, the current, injustice in all Muslim countries, you only have two options. Either go with this extreme or go to another extreme. But again, let not lose hope. Let not lose hope. I mean, the third option is still there. And I don't know, Pak Khalid told me that I should represent the Ganushist point of view. He didn't come. For whatever reason, he did not come. But anyway, let me represent his point of view. The future is not with political Islam. The future is not going to be with the Islamists. The future is not going to be with Islamic political parties in Muslim countries. That's the fact. Am I right? Wow, a lot of resentment, huh? Oh, okay, Dr. Zoh respond to me. Shamsul trying to marah betul lah. And I can see a lot of past members. I don't know what will happen next. And media, hopefully they will never quote from me. They will never quote me of saying the future is not with political Islam. But what I mean here, yes, let's go back to what Dr. Surin said just now. He said that humility, that is important. Rahmatan lil alamin. But let not forget one very important hadith, important Prophet Muhammad tradition, when he said, Innama bu'ithtu li utammima makarimal akhlaq. And verily I was sent to complete the good morality. Prophet Muhammad did not say, I was sent to destroy other civilizations or other wisdom or other moral of conduct, whatever. I'm bringing in, unlike what Islamists always believe that we have to establish or erect justice with the collapse of Jahiliyyah. No, out there are not all Jahiliyyah. And even if you look at the seerah or the history of Prophet Muhammad SAW, he himself adopted some good values of Jahiliyyah. Shura, for example, mutual consultation. It was another version of Darun Nadwa. Tahaluf nowadays, Islamic Party in Malaysia love to use the word tahaluf siyasi or whatever. The word halif itself, it was a Jahiliyyah product. So what I'm trying to say here, a lot, Dato' Sri is smiling, laughing, eh? Not all Jahiliyyah are bad. Not all from Jahiliyyah are bad. The same thing nowadays that we are facing, we live with that mantra, the 21st century Jahiliyyah. Everything other than Islam, they are Jahiliyyah. So we must create our own, we could understand that post-colonial mentality that Islamists live during that period and sustain until nowadays within certain group. But again, everything out there not totally Jahiliyyah. A lot of good things. And it's not late, but the person that I used to know is no longer there, Dr. Kamal Helbawi. Dr. Kamal Helbawi, whom I used to know, is no longer, he is now. But he always telling us that the current civilization does not belong to the West, does not solely belong to the West. It belongs to the people of the world. And Muslims should have their share in it. The current I really not in favor of Fukuyama's last man standing and end of history. That's very Hegelian, anyway. Popper does not like Hegelian. Okay, so we're trying to say that the current civilization is the civilization of people of the world. We need to build it together. And it's not solely belong to the West. We also need to revive, like Amartya Sen said, the eastern part of civilization, the Japanese part of civilization, Indian civilization, Islamic civilization. We all have to contribute towards a better world society, better global society. But the condition that we are living with is not promising that. Muslims. Because the hypocrisy of certain powers in the West. At one place, they're trying to propagate democracy. Another place, they are acknowledging their undemocratic allies. So let's coming back. To whom the future with? The future is with the open society. Political Islam, or should we call them Democrat Islamists. Are they Democrat Islamists? Yes, Dr. Zul would say, yes, we are Democrat Islamists. Should not live in exclusivity. The failure of Egyptian FJP, the failure of Islamic parties to rule. I don't want to say the failure of Nahda, because Nahda is still in the experiment. But the kind of exclusivity, once you put Islam there in politics, then you are creating more enemies than allies. That is the reality. Unlike the experience of the Turkish AKP, AK Party, you want to play with democracy, you have to toe the rule of the game. You have to submit and really believe in it. You're not using it as a taxi. I still remember the term that been used by the late Erbakan. He said that democracy is just like a taxi. You take a taxi, you arrive, and then you say bye-bye. Gule gule, again. That's all. No. Democracy is the zeitgeist. You want to live, you want to contribute towards the civilization, you want to be part of the world society, you have to live with it. And some might say that, does that mean we are negating Islam or whatever? I think this is what Islamic movement has to revisit their position. When they're looking at things, normally they're still in the trap of the politics of identity. They're creating a new identity, exclusive identity, which they want to be different from others. Trying to negate is a zero-sum game, which is not the situation, or which is not the example that being given by Prophet Muhammad SAW. Prophet Muhammad trying to show himself as part of the bigger community. He trying, after the Battle of Khandaq, the Battle of the Ditch, on the 5th year of Hijrah, what happened? He did not declare war upon others, but he began to send delegations to be inclusive with others, to invite others to become his allies. So even when he was offered the Treaty of Hudaybiyah, he loved that peace treaty rather than engaging in war. So Islamic movement, I think, has to be more inclusive. I think I engaged in discussion with Rashid Ghanouchi early this year, where he said that An-Nahdha is in the not cul-de-sac, is at the junction, whether they should remain as an Islamic movement or better for them to separate between da'wah movement and political parties. Because for him, it doesn't work in such a way. You are becoming a political party, at the same time you want to maintain your Islamic da'wah orientation mentality. It never worked in such a way, especially in this kind of, zeitgeist. So I don't know what's the solution, but Ennahda is still there as a political da'wah party, and they lost the election. Unlike the AK Party, experience is very promising. It's still going on, and I think for Muslim Democrats in Malaysia is something interesting for us to look into. And thank you very much.